We're recording on here. This is great because I don't have to hold the mic, and that was really a lot of my problem the other day. Oh my goodness, I was struggling. Let's get my notes up so I can remember what the frick is going on. What's up, YouTube? The other day, my friend Alex sent me this message. He had a question about what to do when you're having a rough day and you don't really know what to do as far as creativity goes, especially when you have committed to a 30-day creativity challenge. But I think this also applies to anyone who works in a space where your creativity is what you're getting paid for. That's what I've done for the past 10 plus years. And I have a ton of days where I have no energy or I'm just having a bad day and don't want to be creative. So I'm just going to be sharing some thoughts on what I do when I'm having a bad day and need to be creative. So I'm going to break it up into two different parts. The first part is actually going to be before the bad day happens. So we're just going to call this prep. There are a ton of different things that you can do to prep for having a bad day when you need to be creative. The first thing that has been mega helpful for me that I actually am looking at right now is a list of content ideas. That is actually where I took the idea for this video from. I have a list of about 200 or 300 ideas for videos, whether it's a YouTube video or a short or a reel or whatever. I basically have a go-to spot that is just stocked with things that I know I'm interested in talking about or have some insight into, or a joke that I want to make. It could be as simple as a one-liner thing that a quote that I want to share, or it could be as deep as here's my life in the past year in videos. Having a list of all the things in the past you've told yourself, I'd like to make this, is really, really helpful. Second idea is just to organize your footage. This is actually how I've had all of my viral videos happen. Is I just organized from the past 4 or 5 years of my life. I have folders in my phone, specifically just of my phone footage, that is random things that have happened to me or places I've been and got a random clip from. And I've just organized it. And so what I'll do is I'll go back through it on a day I know I want to make something and just see if a story starts sticking out to me, or see if there's something that catches my eye. I'm like, oh, this might be an interesting thing to share, maybe with this caption or with some music behind it, a voiceover, whatever. Having your footage organized helps a ton. This is great too if you have an actual camera and you're just kind of running and gunning vlog style. You can organize things on your computer into different folders. You can tag it, all that kind of stuff. I'm much less good at that. But having folders on your phone is really, really helpful. And I highly recommend it because it just kind of gets you a good launch pad to start from with content. Next thing I would say that is kind of in the prep category is to just think ahead 24 hours. This applies really well to people who are doing this 30-day creativity challenge. Just like you would plan, a meeting with a friend, or what your activity is in the evening, or the gym that you want to go to, what you're going to have for lunch. Creativity is something that you can very easily plan into your schedule. And so when I was doing my 30-day challenge, I would sort of, right before I went to bed every night, I would look at my calendar for the next day and just ask myself the question, where is shooting and editing going to fit into this? And even if I looked at my calendar and I was like, okay, it doesn't really fit into this calendar, I have a super busy day tomorrow. That's just a mental note of okay, I'm going to need to do something super low effort. I'll literally just talk to my phone for 5 seconds and post that, and just know that I need to do something super low effort. That way you can sort of prepare for that lack of time that you're going to have and know, okay, tomorrow's going to be a low effort, but just consistency post, and I can just get it done. Plan ahead. It helps. And then the last thing that is sort of prepare category, but also is sort of just a general thing with creativity, is being aware of what your inputs are. And I mean, what is other people's creativity that you are consuming yourself? Or even what are the experiences in the world that you're having that are feeding into what you're going to make? This is a concept that Rick Rubin talks about in his book, The Creative Act, which I highly recommend. That itself is just a unlock every piece of creativity in your brain type book, and it helped me a lot with my art. But he kind of talks about if you're a musician but you only ever listen to boring music that's going to be on your Discover Weekly or in the top 10 hits whatever in the US, unless you're a pop artist and that's what you're going for, you're probably not going to have a lot of good ideas when you're going to your own studio to create stuff. just thinking, how can I up the quality of the things that I am intaking in life? Even if that just means like I've been sitting inside all day, how can I make my input be the sunlight rather than just like whatever light is going on inside of my house? Like that is an input in your life. If you're a writer, finding some of the best novels that have been written and really diving into those. If you're a poet, finding poetry that inspires you and just considering whenever you're making something, that's an output from your brain. And there's all kinds of life experiences and things that you have control over that are going into it that are ultimately going to impact what you make. So highly recommend considering your inputs. So now I want to shift a bit into more of what to do when a bad day is happening and you haven't done anything to prep and you just need to respond. So again, I like to imagine that maybe like your boss just cussed you out, or maybe you and your wife had a big fight, or you're just feeling like crap. Maybe you got sick. I don't know. Bad days come. We get it. But there are some things that I've learned that help a ton to sort of turn the tide when you need to make a conscious effort to create. So the first thing I would say is do the body work. This is a term that Gabrielle, my wife, and I have sort of developed to just mean like get out there and use your body for something other than just sitting and doing nothing or scrolling or looking at a screen. It's crazy the amount of problems that have been solved for me the moment I just get up and like go for a run. I literally was just talking about this on Threads the other day, but I've had 2-week-long stints of feeling stuck and feeling like I didn't know what to make or not wanting to make anything or feeling just lethargic in life. And I'll go for a 30-minute run. And in the course of a run like that, it just like reverses every single problem that I'm having. And all of a sudden there's this like shock of inspiration and energy to do stuff. And I think just so many times there's like a neuroscience to this. Our bodies just get stuck. And because of that, our minds reflect the same thing. When there's not movement in our body, there's not going to be movement in our mind. And so to unlock, if you have a gym that you can go to, that is a huge deal. Or just do anything physically challenging, even a walk. So many big problems that I've faced in life, and especially in my like creative journey, that a simple walk or run has just solved. So highly encourage you to just pursue taking good care of your body. And if you've been sitting in a dark room for 3 hours and you're bashing your head against your computer because you don't know what to make or how to start, just go get outside, do something with your body, and I guarantee you within a few minutes, ideas are going to start to flow. Second is bad days happening. I would encourage you to just get in touch with yourself and just ask, what are the emotions that are coming from this? Obviously, if you're having a bad day, you're probably going to be feeling maybe annoyance. Maybe you're going to be feeling anger, all kinds of emotions that are valid and fine, but hard to feel. And just getting in touch with who you are in that moment in your day is actually going to, ironically, be a springboard for you to create more beautiful things from. When you start to avoid yourself and avoid the emotions inside of you, that's when you're not going to feel like there's any freedom to create, because you're going to be trying to force yourself to create from a place that you're not actually in. And so when you're having a bad day, just acknowledging that it's tough, acknowledging the emotions you're feeling, and then saying, I am brave enough to create from this place and not try to pretend to be something that I'm not. Ironically, that is the embrace that some of your emotions might be needing to be healed or to be lifted. So I would recommend just getting in touch with where you're at. And so, yeah, I would just encourage you to sort of pull a judo move on your bad day and use it as an opportunity to create from. A lot of the best art comes from people who are having bad days. I don't know if you've noticed that or not, but a lot of the most the music that'll hit you the hardest, or the paintings, the poems that'll get you the most, those are usually coming from people who had bad days and took it as an opportunity to express themselves. You might have a job where you're like, some marketing person, and there's not really space for you to share your like harder emotions, and that's not really what your creativity is meant for. But just in general, I would say like, being a human in the things that you make is ultimately what's going to connect people to you. And even in marketing stuff, even if for a business, like I think a lot of businesses try to paint this very like corporate, polished view or image of themselves. And I think even if you're someone who writes a newsletter or something like that, choosing to be real and vulnerable about the things that are actually happening in your life is a powerful thing. And actually, ironically, it's going to grow your audience more than trying to pretend that you're feeling great all the time. So yeah, I would just take it as an opportunity to like check in with yourself, ask yourself, how am I feeling? What's going on? Why is this day bad? Even if it's just like, I don't have time. Today's just really busy and I don't have time to be creative. There's still plenty of things that you can talk about in creativity with just your lack of time. You might have 30 seconds or, a 10-minute drive, and that's your only opportunity to make something. And you can really quickly just pop on, hit record on your phone and just be like, hey, today's been really busy and I'm really stressed and I'm just checking in to show you that I still exist. I just think people value that kind of stuff. People don't need to see like only the highlights of your life. That's, I think, one of the reasons people are really sick of social media is because for so long they've only ever seen like the vacations and the big life events and these big polished moments that of course everyone has. But I think creators that are able to tap into like the actual human experience and being real about it are going to go the furthest. So a bad day might be actually a good day when it comes to creativity if you just reframe it a little bit. So those are my ideas. Would love to know what is helpful for you when you're trying to be creative. If you have any hacks, whether they're sort of more ideological and existential or little quick habits you've formed over time, I would love to know what has helped you as a creative in your journey when you encounter difficulty or just a bad day and you still know you want to create from it. Let me know, and thanks for being here. Appreciate you.